In the news this week, a new report proposes to radically secularise the education system. A Christian leader and former lawyer speaks out against anti-extremism plans. And celebrated missionary Elisabeth Elliot has died at the age of 88. Hello and welcome to this week's news bulletin from the Christian Institute. The Christian Institute has strongly criticised a raft of proposals on religious education from former Education Secretary Charles Clarke. The wide-ranging plans include the government seizing control of religious education in church schools and requiring all schools to teach humanism. Speaking for the Christian Institute, Deputy Director for Public Affairs Simon Calvert warned that the proposals would have a dramatic secularising effect on schools.
Well, it really is an astonishing plan. They want to effectively nationalise religious education and impose it on all schools, church schools and independent schools, and they actually want to impose it on all kids because they want to take away the parental right of withdrawal. It's an astonishing plan. It would make church schools liable to litigation from hostile groups like the British Humanist Association. Frankly, it would wreck church schools.
The principal of a Christian theological college has spoken out against proposed anti-extremism orders. Reverend Dr. Mike Ovey leads Oak Hill College in London and as a lawyer drafted government legislation during the 1980s. Dr. Ovey told the Daily Telegraph that from his perspective as a lawyer and a Christian teacher, the plans for extremism disruption orders are disastrous. Speaking to the Christian Institute, he laid out his concerns.
People sometimes ask whether fears over the extremism legislation is simply far-fetched, unfounded. The answer is no. As a lawyer, I know that in the early 20th century, the government made promises about not using civil liberty legislation oppressively. It did use it oppressively for nearly 80 years. There again, as a Christian, I'm deeply worried about the huge uncertainty about what will count as extremism, in inverted commas, and therefore that'll have a chilling effect on us trying to proclaim the gospel. It'll make it harder for us to do so. And for those reasons, we've got to say there's a better way of actually dealing with the extremism problem.
Christians have been encouraged to thank God for the constitutional liberties established by Magna Carta as its 800th anniversary is celebrated. The Queen and Prime Minister took part in an event at Runnymede in Surrey, where it was originally agreed. Magna Carta, which is Latin for Great Charter, establishes the principle that no one, not even the King, is above the law. Its first clause, which is still law, upholds the freedom of the English Church. The Christian Institute has produced a new briefing on Magna Carta, which looks at its importance and ongoing influence. To download the briefing, search Magna Carta from our homepage, christian.org.uk. And finally, the influential Christian missionary and author Elisabeth Elliot has died aged 88. Elizabeth's first husband Jim was killed by a remote tribe in Ecuador in 1956 when their daughter was just 10 months old. She wrote about their experiences in the best-selling book Through Gates of Splendor. After she returned to the US in 1963, Elisabeth inspired many through her writing, speaking and radio programs. Writing after her second husband died of cancer, she said, "While it is perfectly true that some of my worst fears did in fact materialise, I see them now as an abyss and massive mercies, appointed and assigned by a loving and merciful Father who sees the end from the beginning. He asks us to trust him." She is survived by her third husband, Lars Gren, daughter Valerie, and 8 grandchildren. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.